Hey, my name is Titania Page from lifebeforeeternity.com, and today we're going to discuss, is racism an excuse to reject Christianity? So within the black community, I've heard so many complain about Christianity being a tool that the white man uses to subjugate blacks. So therefore, it should be rejected as a false religion. Now, is that true? So we're going to tackle this discussion by asking ourselves a couple of questions. First, we're going to start with, is Christianity the white man's religion? Then we're going to ask ourselves, did slaves feel the same way about that? And then 3, we're going to ask ourselves, can we apply this same logic in other areas of our lives? Is Christianity the white man's religion? The short answer is no. Christianity was birthed from Judaism in Palestine. And Palestine is located in the Middle East, situated on a little strip of land between Africa and Asia. And that strip is hemmed in by the countries of Egypt and Turkey. Not the average dwelling place of the first century Caucasian or white person. So those countries are home to brown people. Now, I'm saying this just to answer the question, because it doesn't matter what color the people were. Christianity was birthed from Judaism. It's the fulfillment of Judaism. If you would like a more complete history, now you don't have to read this entire book, don't get freaked out. This is The Story of Christianity by, I hope I'm saying it right, Justo L. Gonzalez. You can practically read just the first chapter of this book and get a good detailed history of the origin of Christianity. Did slaves feel the same way? Now, obviously, I can't speak for every single slave that was, living during that time. But I would like to lift up the perspectives of 2 very famous, and perhaps you didn't even know, famous Christian slaves. First, let's start with Harriet Tubman. Now, did Harriet Tubman believe that since white slave owners perverted the scriptures and used them to subjugate slaves, did she believe that God didn't exist anymore and that she shouldn't practice Christianity? No. These are some quotes from Harriet Tubman herself. When she was asked about how she was able to lead these so many slaves to freedom, this is what she says. This is her reply. "'Twain't me, 'twas the Lord. I always told him, I trust to you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me, and he always did. 'Twasn't me." Okay, so the answer for Harriet Tubman was no. And this is another thing another quote that I thought was worth highlighting in respect to white people at that time. White people who didn't identify as slave owners, but as Quakers. She says, "Quakers almost as good as colored. They call themselves friends and you can trust them every time." So obviously, Harriet Tubman didn't allow the perversion and manipulation of one group of white people to cause her to hate or distrust all white people, or count out Christianity, or serving God because somebody else used it for evil. That's something to think about. Also, let's lift up Frederick Douglass's perspective. And y'all, I wish I could read the whole thing that he wrote. I'm gonna read you some of his quotes from Life of an American Slave. Okay, so if you really want to go and read the entire thing, I'll leave the link in the comments, but this is so incredible. Listen to what Frederick Douglass says about the Christianity that white slave owners, practiced versus genuine Christianity of the Bible. "I find since reading over the foregoing narrative that I have in several instances spoken in such a tone and manner respecting religion as may possibly lead those unacquainted with my religious views to suppose me an opponent of all religion. To remove the liability of such misapprehension, I deem it proper to append the following brief explanation. So basically, he's saying, don't get it twisted. I don't want y'all to think that I'm against our religion. This is what I believe, and this is what he says. What I have said respecting and against religion, I mean strictly to apply to the slave-holding religion of this land, and with no possible reference to Christianity proper. For between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I recognize the widest possible difference. So wide that to receive the one as good, pure, and holy is of the necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, and wicked. To be the friend of one is of necessity to be the enemy of the other. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, women-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial, and hypocritical Christianity of this land. Indeed, I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. I look upon it as the climax of all misnomers, the boldest of all frauds, and the grossest of all libels. Never was there a clearer case of stealing the livery of the court of heaven to serve the devil in. Words from Frederick Douglass on the fake Christianity of slaveholders versus the authentic, pure Christianity of Christ that is verbalized and articulated in the Bible. So there you have it. Did slaves feel the same way? Again, can't speak for every slave, but the ones we celebrate in February that you rarely hear about this idea of theirs, these ideals they held, you rarely hear about them. But these slaves that we celebrate, this is how they felt about fake Christianity, fake perverted Christianity of slaveholders versus true, authentic Christianity proper. And might I insert that it wasn't I don't think most slaves would point to doctrines, perverted doctrines as what held them down in slavery. They would probably point to the abuse and violence and the slave codes that that were enforced upon them, and the systems of slavery and the systems that perpetuated, the treatment of slaves as something, is what was actually holding them back and oppressing them. But that's just my opinion. Can we apply the same logic in other areas of our lives? I think it's way too much to say. You crossing the line when you say because someone manipulated you with something, that all of a sudden that thing that they used to manipulate you is not true. We have to distinguish between the manipulation itself and the object being used to manipulate. So you can practically use anything that is true to manipulate a group of people. Let's just take the news, for example. All you need is a lot of money so that you can have a big news station, and you need a little bit of the facts so you can have that truth, a little bit of truth in there. And then you just need to take a little bit of the truth and pervert it just a little bit. And then you also need to have some people who are kind of ignorant about what's really happening because they don't have a way, for example, to read and figure out the truth for themselves, or actually have seen what's going on and happen first hand to say, hey, you're not telling the truth about that. Most slaves couldn't read the Bible for themselves to determine that slave owners were perverting the scriptures and manipulating them. Let's just think about this from a realistic perspective. somebody can take your words that you say in your office or in the classroom at school or on the phone conversation. They can take the words that you said, yeah, you said them, but out of context and used wrong and used in the wrong way. They can be used to paint a negative picture of you or to twist your thoughts and your real motivations and thinking about something, just like the Bible was used and twisted for the purposes of to serve the purposes of white plantation owners who used it to subjugate slaves. So one more example would be like guns. With a gun, you can protect somebody. Our society can be protected from criminals who want to kill us and come and hurt us. The same gun can be used to attack somebody or to commit crimes. In and of itself, the gun is not bad or wrong. It's just an object, right? But it just depends on how somebody wants to use it. And truth can be the same way. Somebody can twist the truth and make it a lie, or twist, or pervert or leave out some details, and it totally changes the whole perspective on things. So I don't think, and I hope you agree, that that logic applies. Just because one group of slaves and one group of people used and manipulated the scriptures to do something wrong doesn't mean that Christianity is wrong in and of itself. I hope this conversation, I hope this whole discussion helped you feel more prepared, and just even reading the quotes from these slaves who went through slavery and held tightly and clung tightly to faith in Jesus. I hope that really changed your mind and it equips you for the next conversation that you have about this. So, do you have more questions about this conversation? Is there something else you want to add, or is there a time where you spoke with someone else about racism and Christianity and being black and not hating yourself by being a Christ follower? If you have the experience, if you want to say something or you want to add a little to the discussion, go ahead and leave a comment below and we can keep the conversation going, and maybe I'll make another video on this. Alright, hope you had a great day. Hope this helps. God bless. See you next time.